Welcome to the Dr. Dare Show. My name is Dr. Frederick Dare. I am a therapist here in Atlanta, Georgia, and welcome to my channel. But before we get started on our hot topic, make sure you subscribe to my video channel, like this video, share it, and click the little bell at the bottom of the screen so that you'll get updates of when I'm uploading new content. Today's topic is, are you being manipulated in your relationship, whether it be romantic or just a social relationship? The Michelle Carter and Conrad Roy III case. The reason I decided to do this topic because I wanted to talk about relationships. I wanted to, discuss how relationships are set up. And usually, and what I mean is usually relationships, there's one dominant person and there's one not so dominant person. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I know in our world that we live in, and based on biblical scriptures and all of that type of stuff, is that the man is supposed to be kind of like the head of the household or something like that. Not so much anymore, but I think that's how people view relationships. And so again, there's always one dominant person and one less dominant person in the relationship, and that can create a problem. And that's why we're discussing the Michelle Carter and the Conrad Roy III case. Because in 2014, Michelle and Conrad, they were dating, and Conrad allegedly was suffering from depression and some other mental health issues that I'm not surely entitled of what they all were, but he was suffering from depression and mental health issues and had attempted suicide in the past, allegedly, in the articles that I read this morning. And so him and Michelle were dating back in 2014. Well, then Conrad had planned out his suicide and apparently had told Michelle, and she decides to send him all these dozens of text messages to encourage him to carry out this suicide, and don't back out. And I'll read some of the text messages that I found online in the news article. She says, "Conrad, hey, are you there?" And he's like, "Hey, sorry, I fell asleep." "It's okay. Why haven't you done it yet, though?" Y'all hear this? "Why haven't you done it yet, though?" And he's like, "I'm too messed up to." "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "In my head." I guess he was experiencing some kind of depression or something, but she wasn't having it. "You can't think about it. You just have to do it. You said you were going to do it. Like, I don't get why you aren't." And he's like, "I don't get it either. I don't know." "So I guess you aren't going to do it then. All that for nothing?" "I'm just confused. Like, you were so ready and determined." "I'm going to eventually. I really don't know what I'm waiting for, but I have everything lined up, and I really don't know what I'm waiting for." And he kind of keeps saying that, and she just keeps trying to push him to commit suicide. And so that's why I was thinking, like, in relationships, some people are more dominant than others, and it's okay if they are mentally stable and it is not creating oppression for the less dominant person. And so Michelle, in 2017, she was convicted of involuntary manslaughter. And she keeps appealing this. And I think I was hearing on CNN this morning that she was released for good behavior. And because, I guess just to make room for other inmates that are, not as violent, I guess. I don't know if that's the case. So she convinced Conrad Roy to commit suicide. And I thought, so many people out there are in these types of relationships where they're letting this dominant person who is not mentally stable to kind of tell them what to do. Like, for example, if you're in this relationship and you like going to the movies, but your partner is saying you can't go to the movies anymore because it's too expensive, or you need to lose weight because you're so fat and nobody is liking you because of that, and it's creating oppression in you because you're not able to love yourself, that self-esteem is so low that you're dependent on this person, and that's what happens. You become dependent on that person, and so you lose yourself in those type of relationships. I always say, when someone is just kind of criticizing you all the time, and you're supposed to be in a relationship with them, and all they do is criticize what you look like, what you wear, your eye color, your hair color, your the way your face is shaped, the way your head is shaped, when they're just constantly criticizing you of those things, honestly, I just feel like they don't like you, and they're just with you to be either in a relationship, or they just have that dominant, controlling spirit that they just need someone around that they know that they can manipulate. And that's never a good thing. As in the case of Michelle and Conrad. Conrad was the less dominant one. He was already experiencing mental health issues. And Michelle took advantage of that. And I don't know if she's a sociopath, because it's like she had no empathy. She didn't, like the judge said, she didn't intervene to save him. She didn't contact his family. She didn't contact the police, But the argument from her attorneys is that, she tried to stop him, allegedly, before in his plan to carry out suicide. But why this time she was so adamant? As you can hear in the video, she was just, in the text messages, it was like, do it. And at one time he got out of the car when I guess the carbon monoxide was overpowering him. He got out of the truck, and she says, get back in. And then, that ended it. So always be aware of your relationships. If you feel like you're in a relationship and someone is always criticizing you, they're the dominant one. And like I said, in some cases it's okay if it's not detrimental to who you are, your well-being, your perspective. You're still able to shine. You're still able to be yourself. They're just a little dominant about, okay, we're gonna do this tonight because of our budget. And even though you wanted to do something else, but because of the budget, we can't do it, and that dominant person is looking out for both of you, then that's okay. To me, that's a difference than someone saying, go kill yourself, and you're going to do it because you're under that control, but you also have a lot of other stuff going on. So I just wanted to come and talk about that type of relationship, because if you're in it, here's some tips. Don't give someone too much power in the relationship. Again, I don't care who they are. What's the old saying? They say love is blind. And I feel like it is when that person is dominant and negative, and everybody around you sees it, and some people tell you and you kind of ignore it. But that's where you get that love is blind, because it's like you're being hurt, but you're allowing this person to dominate and manipulate the relationship and manipulate you. And that's one tip. Don't give someone too much power in the relationship. And I just stated this: if someone is criticizing you all the time, they probably don't like you. With me, if I meet somebody and the first thing they're saying is, I don't like your head shape, all right, I'm out, bye. Because that means you don't like me. When you come into a relationship and you're trying to change that person, why do they got to change? And my first question is, why don't you like that? If you don't like that, then you don't like me, and goodbye. It's just like women with children. If you meet a man and the first thing is he's like, oh, I don't do children, you should be like, okay, I'm out. Because if you love me, then you have to love my kids, right? And then number 3, advocate for yourself. If you're in this type of relationship, and you should always be about, people say it's selfish, but I'm like, no, you have to advocate yourself, because if you don't protect yourself, who else is going to protect you? Who else is going to look out for you? Who else is going to make sure that you're safe and loved and you're getting the things that you want to get? I understand in a relationship it's very hard to combine 2 different people from two different backgrounds into one relationship. But there should always be, and this is going to be my number 4, is compromise. You compromise when you're in a good relationship. You know, one day we'll do what you want to do. The next day we'll do what I want to do. Or the next day I'll cook, and today you cook. Just compromise. And then the 5th is communication. If you're feeling like you're being dominated or manipulated, you know, communicate to that person. That's the way you feel, because sometimes some people are not aware of it, but then a lot of times they are. And the scary part is when they are, they know it, and they can see that anything that they do, and you're gonna go for it no matter what, just because they said it. And you don't want to be in that type of relationship, because then you're losing who you are. You're not advocating for yourself, and it's just gonna get worse. And to me, I don't know if that person really loves you. I think they just love the fact that they can control you, control what you do. It's just like with Michelle. She knew she could control Conrad. I believe she knew that, you know, he had these mental health issues and he was depressed, and she was the dominant one, and she could manipulate him to do things. And I don't know any history, and this is just a thought. I don't know the history of their relationship, but I guarantee it probably involves her kind of dominating the relationship, because Conrad was suffering from mental health issues. And it's like, I wish someone would have gotten him help and treatment. And I always say this too, when you're not together for yourself, like if you don't feel like you have everything together mentally and physically for yourself, and you don't feel like where you are, I don't think you should bring anybody else into that until you get hold of that and become aware of yourself and become the person that you want to be. And I know, you know, sometimes that's just procrastination, but sometimes it's healthy to get yourself together with a professional and get mental health services. Physically get yourself together, seeing a doctor. But because when you bring somebody else in and they don't have your best interest at heart, like Michelle, then this type of stuff can happen. So always be careful in relationships. Again, I will be doing a live YouTube and Instagram on next Thursday, January 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can bring any questions. You can talk about any of the videos that